Welcome to Courtsiders. I'm your host, Eric. With me, I have Dimitri with a brand new haircut.
What's up, guys? How you doing today? I know you can't see it, but I look good.
Yeah. No one can see it visually, but verbally, it looks good. So we'll get right into it. It's the championship game. Sacramento Kings, Boston Celtics, who basically had an NBA squad in summer league and still lost. How do you feel, Dimitri, that your Sacramento Kings are champions?
Yo, honestly, it was pretty funny to watch because our second unit was like dunking on their like first lineup with like 1,500 NBA minutes experience, and it was pretty wild. It was a fun watch. Emmanuel Terry, they've already nicknamed. I don't know if you've watched him at all in summer league. He's so fun and he just radiates cool, and he's such a great he's honestly a player that I would love to give a two-way spot to if Lewis King, who Lou King will end up talking about him later because he was really good. Um, if he ends up getting a roster spot, I'd love to give. They already nicknamed him ET, which I think is a great name. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the summer league squad. I was real impressed with what they did. I think Davion and Jahmi'us Ramsey are just they're pests on defense at the guard position. So fun to watch. Lou King really stepped up his defensive game. I think in a catch and shoot role, a simplified NBA role, where he won't have to like create really difficult shots, and he'll just be able to use his length. He's long. He's pretty lengthy defensively as well. I think he'll actually honestly he'll thrive, and that's exactly what he'll be asked to do in Sacramento. We're pretty thin in the wing position, and he provides that size that we need there. So I think he'll get some minutes despite being on, even if he is on a two-way contract. But I would give some serious consideration promoting him to the main roster after this.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the energy Sacramento came out with? Because it's kind of, I think a lot of people mentioned this while watching the Sacramento Kings in summer league. They said I kind of like the their DNA in summer league more compared to their actual NBA team. There's more energy. There's more focus on the defensive side, and overall, everyone kind of there's a lot of people cheering for each other on. And do you think that's just that specific summer league team, or do you think it's actually uh, sort of an identity thing from Bobby Jackson and Christie,
Yeah, so when Luke is eventually, and I hope he is fired, I hope that Doug Christie and uh, Bobby Jackson get the opportunity up at the NBA squad as assistants. I don't know if I'd want them running the X and O's as my main coach, but I think honestly, the really important thing Bobby Jackson set this team up with, and I think Doug Christie probably had something to do with this as well, to be honest, just when you consider the type of person Doug is they set an identity early on with this team, and they were like, we're going to be just pests defensively, we're going to get after the other team, we're going to make them uncomfortable, and we're going to keep our opponents to 75 points and under. And they really did that, and they were averaging like 13 14 assists, or sorry, not assists, steals a game. And it was just really, really impressive to watch just how he rallied these guys into believing in a common goal, and it really like carried them. I think we were a 2-0 or maybe 3-0 when Luke King came out and said, we're trying to win out and win this whole summer league. We're not playing around here. And I was like, whoa, they really believe in themselves. And it was because of this mindset that Bobby Jackson had set up. So while I think Bobby Jackson isn't the best X's and O's coach that I've seen in my life, and I don't know if I'd want him in my head NBA position, I think he's somebody that would be an extremely valuable assistant coach in a good NBA squad for sure. I think he's a motivator. I think he's somebody who sets up an identity and sticks to it. And I think he's somebody that players could turn to.
He played for Oregon, right? He played for the Ducks. Or am I just hallucinating? He played for Oregon, or did he
Lou?
play for? Yeah, or did he play for Michigan State? I forgot.
Yeah. I I think in a simplified role he'll do better, because when he was asked to do a few things like just create these more complex shots off the dribble and stuff like that, that's kind of where you saw him struggle. But when he was just on one-on-one defensive situations, or having to even off the ball, he moved really really well defensively, which is something he struggled with. So his attention to detail has grown a lot, and his shot making has only improved. And if he could continue that at the NBA level, I mean, he's a guy that could, if he doesn't get the NBA contract already, will play 50 games for us probably, which I think is like max this year. 50-51 games is the max for like a two-way player. So yeah, he'll get some run for sure here.
So Jahmi'us Ramsey looked more like he was at Texas Tech this time around. And were you guys surprised about his development, or what did you see that was like the difference between this year and last year? Was it just processing? His like the game slowed down a little bit more for him?
Yeah, I think just knowing, where he needs to be on the court and what he needs to do, as well as just honestly getting stronger. Him finishing through contact is something that he's improved a lot on, and just getting up in his defender. And I think that's also just believing in, again, something, what we just talked about, Bobby Jackson's image that this team wanted to portray. And I think that really helped Jahmi'us. And he was just very, very confident. He was hitting his threes. He was being an absolute bulldozer on the inside. He looked a lot stronger. I was really impressed, and he's still, I believe, only 20 years old. So he's a lot younger than people think. So Jahmi'us is somebody that I could see actually getting NBA minutes like later on in the year. I don't think he'll have some in the beginning of the year. I think he'll spend most of the year in Stockton, but maybe he could get some minutes at the end of the year depending on the circumstances of the NBA team. And we'll see where it goes with Jahmi'us, but this was a really encouraging summer league. I think he should have honestly won MVP. He had the better stats over summer league compared to King, and I know his last game wasn't as impressive, but he was the second leading scorer with more consistent statistics throughout the tourney. So I think Jahmi'us really he kind of deserved the MVP at the end. But he to me was one of the most impressive players from summer league overall. Complete contrary to Woodard.
Yeah, Woodard. Yeah, but I mean, Jahmi'us Ramsey, I had a low end first rounder last year from Texas Tech. So I think last year was a kind of disappointment year for him, but I think it was because he was so young and the game was just too fast for him. So everything was going obviously too fast for him in basketball. And when that happens, you think too much. And when you think too much, you're not really instinctual. And then you're slowed down by thinking too much. And other players just, are just playing off instincts and kind of experience. So that has a lot to do with the NBA, just the game itself. Just instincts and experience really do matter. And I think when people second guess themselves and stuff like that, that's when they get into problems. So, yeah, it's actually really impressive that Jahmi'us. He led him in,
agree.
He led him in points per game, and yeah, they just had an identity where you could see what they try to do. They didn't have the most offensive firepower in the summer league, but they were like, all right, we don't have the most firepower, therefore we have to limit other people's firepower, which makes sense.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would agree with you that Jahmi'us came on a little bit early from college. Some people would have definitely sent him down there for a little bit longer. They would have said, take a sophomore year and then try for the NBA. But Jahmi'us said, no, I'm going to go now. And I'm hoping the Kings will stay patient with him, because I think he does have a tremendous amount of potential. He's still really young. And, who knows if Jahmi'us ends up being a really useful piece and ends up developing into this player that's, consistently, able to do some stuff in the NBA. On the inside and be defensive and maybe do a little bit of shot creation stuff. How valuable is that? Does that young player become at a trade after that? Sacramento could look at trades or just having good players is good in general as well. But yeah, no, it's just it would be really nice to see somebody, one of our second round picks, develop into something. It's yeah, Woodard doesn't look too promising right now, so it's up to Jahmi'us to kind of carry things right now for the Kings. One of Woodard's games, he came out and he had I believe 7 minutes and like 4 turnovers. I think it was just honestly, like, when I say he was unplayable for the first 3 or 4 games, he was decent in like his closing, the championship game, and like I know the fourth game I think he was decent in, but like I know the first 3 games of summer league and then the ones in Sacramento, he was just unplayably bad. Like it was hard to watch with Woodard. He couldn't, every time he had the ball, he would dribble into traffic repeatedly, and he wasn't good enough to like make a pass out. His vision just wasn't good enough, and he tried to hit a contested shot. He was just basically a black hole with the ball. He was too slow-footed to do anything defensively, and he came into camp. Well, he came into summer league, sorry, looking just honestly a little bit heavier. It looked like he had tried to kind of bulk up even more, but had added too much weight, where it's like they get, almost like a bigger kind of belly. Like he had like the bodybuilder look almost. And I was just like, he wasn't moving very well. And it killed a lot of that athleticism he had, man. So Woodard, it was just rough. It was just a really rough summer league. I don't know if he's worth giving up on, but there's a certain percentage of the Kings fan base right now that's saying like, hey, we're pretty stacked for roster spots. If we want to sign somebody else or something, we could cut Woodard, or we could give it his roster spot to King and then give Emmanuel Terry a two-way. There's a lot of people that are advocating for that in the Kings fan base. Like they're saying, Terry, if you want to, if the Kings said they want to compete this year, if they want to compete this year, wouldn't Terry be better than Woodard? And it's like, yes, but like, I don't know if it's too early to get. It might be too early to give up on Woodard. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Woodard?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just seemed like I would rather have Emmanuel Terry on my team than Woodard at this point. I just don't know what Woodard brings to the table that excels. He doesn't really have a trait that pushes him beyond other people that I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. At least like with Jahmi'us, you can see like there's something there, right? He's explosive. He could finish at the rim. He's getting stronger. He's fast. He has some defensive presence. But Woodard, you're like,
He's like
you're
the
a big dude.
basketball
Yeah.
equivalent of a bulldog, like a pit bull.
Like you're a big dude, okay? What do you do with that? Is he a shot blocker? Not really. Can he, guard people on the
No,
perimeter? Not really.
and he's like that was his ability to jump with his like strength was one of his upsides, but he tried to bulk up too much, and now he's like killing it. So
That's that pandemic weight.
oh my god, it's true though. Woodard gained too many pandemic pounds, and like it's out of control for him right now.
He went too far,
it
man.
has been a good summer league. I think you have to see how he does. Like he's not going to play any NBA minutes. Truly, he's not ready for them. So I think you just have to see how it goes in Stockton this year, playing with the G League guys. And if he has a bad year in Stockton, his next 2 years aren't guaranteed. Like he's already in his second year, right? So he only has 2 more years on his contract, and neither year is guaranteed. So I think you just cut ties if he has a bad year in the G League this year, to be honest with you. Like it's just, no offense to Woodard, but he's taking up a regular roster spot, like it's tough, and he's not providing anything right now.
Yeah, ET looked pretty good, honestly. He energy. He had like some Kenneth Fareed energy, So sometimes if you want to have an identity, you kind of need.
He does. He's
like
very Kenneth Fareed. I completely agree with you, man. I think he's very Kenneth Fareed, and I think he actually does deserve like a spot somewhere. If Sacramento isn't able to give him a spot, like he'd be interesting on the Nets personally. I think that,